I'm your host, Lia Chang. The 47th Asian American International Film Festival, known as the first home of Asian American cinema, is taking place from August 1st to the 11th. I'll be taking you inside the opening night, where the festival kicks off with the East Coast premiere of Tadashi Nakamura and Nguyen-Le's film Nobuko Miyamoto, A Song and Movement at the Asia Society. The documentary follows the life of visionary artist-activist Nobuko Miyamoto and her revolutionary work that has left a mark on the Asian American landscape. Nobuko is performing after the screening, followed by a Q&A and a reception.
I'm the new president of Asia Society. I'm about 4 months into my job. I've been down here. But I've already been in this auditorium for many events, but I have to say this is the most full, loud, energetic, crowd that I've seen in all of my 4 months here, and I certainly hope that I will be welcoming you back many more times in my tenure. Welcome to the opening screening of the Asian American International Film Festival, and as Asia Society's new president, I'm certainly delighted with this opportunity to share a few thoughts with you. Asia Society is committed to engendering a deeper understanding of Asia and the Asian diaspora in the United States and beyond. We bring together diverse voices from across arts and culture, policy issues, business engagements, and educational programs. Our work with the Asian American community spans decades, from exhibitions of Asian American artists to performances that we commission, and to more recent initiatives such as our new Asian Diaspora Project, which is a social media series featuring individuals who are making an impact through their creative endeavors here in New York City and across the globe. The power of storytelling through cinema is at the heart of tonight's collaboration. Since the 1990s, we have partnered with Asian CineVision and the Asian American International Film Festival. And since 2002, we have been a frequent host, such as we are doing this evening. This year is the 47th festival, and it is presenting an impressive list of 110 films in 19 different languages. Tonight's festival opening features the documentary film Nobuko Miyamoto, A Song in Movement, created by filmmakers Tadashi Nakamura and Nguyen-Le. I hope I got that right. It is the inspiring story of Nobuko Miyamoto's life and career as a singer, dancer, and longtime activist of the Asian American Pacific Islanders community. It amply captures memory, reconnection, and the vibrant spirit of the community of Asian American creatives across the country, which is indeed the theme of this year's festival.
We're genuinely honored to welcome back to the city Japanese American author, songwriter, dance and theater artist, activist, and original gangster of the Asian American movement, Nobuko Miyamoto.
My name is Kayla. I am one of the co-directors of the Asian American International Film Festival, and this is someone you might recognize.
I'm David. I'm also one of the festival co-directors.
He's usually behind stage, which is why today I want to drag him up here because he deserves the recognition as well. We're honored to welcome you today to the 47th edition of AAPI. This year's programming features a celebration of films about reconnection and tenderness. As you might have noticed on the festival branding this year, we pay homage to the postage stamp or letter writing, because this is our love letter to our community. This year's films, a lot of them are featuring very personal stories, as you will see.
And this festival is put together through the help of multiple organizations in the community. So we once again would like to thank Asia Society and the Library of Congress, as well as our community partners for tonight, AAPI, Chinese Progressive Association, Zaja, Think Chinatown, and the Asian American Bar Association of New York. And last but not least, we'd also like to thank all the festival staff and volunteers.
My name is Tadashi Nakamura. I'm the director of the Media Arts Center at the Japanese American National Museum. This film is a co-production of the Media Arts Center at JANM and PBS SoCal. I just wanted to start off and thank ACV for having us. It's a huge honor, not only to play the festival, but to be opening night. Also wanted to thank Asia Society and all of the sponsoring organizations that made this tonight happen, as well as all the volunteer staff that are actually making it happen. I was on the stage, I think almost 20 years ago, screening one of my early short films. And I think if it wasn't for festivals like this and the Asian American film community, I wouldn't be here today. But I think since then, what I've realized is, especially after the pandemic, I think moments like this, I don't take for granted anymore. I think I'm sure hopefully all of you are experiencing it already, but just already the conversations that I had in the lobby, tonight's very, very special on multiple levels, on a familial level, on a community level, kind of a reunion level. And I think the moment in time that we're in right now is so hectic, stressful, anxious, beautiful at sometimes. But I hope that at least tonight we could really just be together, because I think in the next couple months, I know a lot of us have already been fighting, but I think the next couple months is going to be very crucial. We have a huge battle to fight, but tonight I think I'm going to personally, use this time to fill up my cup of love and energy, and this is why we do what we do. So I hope all of us can really just be together and really appreciate ourselves together for this night and to celebrate.
My name is Nguyen-Le. I'm the co-director of this film with Tad, and we're truly humbled to be with you all tonight. And we couldn't have told this story in documentary format without the work of community activists and archives, such as the photographs from New York's own Corky Lee, and the work of many of you in this and the work of so many people who are in this room who have done this work for decades. It made us possible to tell Nobuko's story in context. And as you watch our film tonight, we hope that you notice parallels between the history that Nobuko had lived through and what we're living through right now. In 2024, Sonia Massey's life was taken by police. Palestinian lives are still being barraged under militarized violence, co-signed by our own government. So it's very easy to kind of lose hope and feel powerless in what we can do as individuals.
Is a Buddhist concept of being in the present moment, because this is where life exists, in the now, and surely this moment will not come again. apology yet. Derek Nakamoto. The last 30 years made so many things possible I couldn't have done without him. And of course, he did the music for the film as well. So. There's a lot of history in this room. And I've been very touched by all of you. You've made a big difference in my life and helped me to keep going for all these years. It's really, you know, when Chris and I first started using and writing this music, stumbling into it really, there was no such thing as an Asian American song. And we realized it after we wrote the first song, and then we sang it out loud, and then we realized, oh my God, this is our song. And so I'm gonna sing a few of them, a couple of them, the oldies, because in time, the meaning has changed, you know, and deepened, and also just Chris Ijima. I just want to bring him into this space because I wouldn't be doing what I've been doing in the last 50 years if it wasn't for Chris Ijima. So he's here with us right now. I knew there was something about me today. I knew there was something about me today. I walk tall and look at all things in a different way. I knew there was something different about me today. Look in the mirror and I saw me. And I didn't want to be any other way. Then I look around and I see you. And it was the first time I knew who we really are. About me today. Hey, I look in the mirror and I see me 50 years later. Ooh, and I don't want to be any other way. Then are who we really are, who we really are, who we really are. So New York, this is the place it all started, you know, where we woke up. And these streets of New York, when I walk in New York now, I realize, you know, the vibrations of New York, it's nothing like New York. And in 1970, I lived on 91st Street, and there was a squatters movement going on. Poor people, you know, didn't have housing, and so El Comité, this group, was helping people take over empty buildings and moving families in, you know, fixing the water and the electricity, moving families in and keeping them there rent-free. There was over 200 families living for free in my neighborhood. They called us squatters, you know. So we joined the squatters movement because we wanted a storefront for Asian Americans in the Upper West Side. So we went to El Comité and we said, hey, would you help us get a storefront? And they said, sure. So they took us around the neighborhood, just like real estate folks. And they said, here, this is a perfect place for you, 88th in Amsterdam, subway around the corner, bodega around the block. Take it. So, in the middle of the night, like ninjas, you know, we tore down and we started fixing this place up. And we were looking for a name that was strong, revolutionary, you know. Finally, we decided on chickens come home to roost. That's what Malcolm said after Kennedy was killed, right? But then, El Comité would call us up and say, hey, will the chickens come and sing for us next week? We're going to take over the BB game, El Pollo. So this is where Chris got this idea to write this song. Nosotros somos asiáticos y nos gusta cantar para la gente. Hablamos mal porque luchamos por las mismas cosas. La lengua de libertad, líricos de amor, canciones de la lucha, la música del pueblo. Oh, oh, oh. Now this song was born in a liberated zone in New York City, where anyone who heard the beat and had the heart could enter. This song was a victory cry for midnight makeovers for people who took over empty buildings from poor folks. They called us squatters. But aren't we all sort of squatters here? This song was a thank you to members of El Comité who helped us find a gathering place for Asians in their territory, where we could hear the echoes of their boleros and swim in the rivers of their struggles. This song came with the help of my roommate, Aida Quasfoot. Not only did she help me with my Spanish, she taught me to love Café Bustelo and cook arroz con pollo. This song was sung in Puerto Rico, for Puerto Rican Liberation Day in Madison Square Garden, in our neighborhood coffee house. This sound mingled with the sounds of poets and singers of Nueva Canción. Their words flew like bullets, and music helped feed the fire of struggle in their homeland. For a moment in time, the will of the people reigned here. We crossed invisible borders, and we did what others couldn't imagine. And we learned the power of the song. The power of the song was in the struggle that it came from. La lengua de libertad, líricos de amor, canciones de la lucha, la música del pueblo. Oh, oh, oh. Yo para tu gente, tú para la mía. Yo para tu gente, tú para la mía. You know what that means, right? Me for your people, you for my people. Spanish number 1. You're gonna sing this. It's your turn to sing this now. Yo para tu gente, tú para la mía. Yo para tu gente, tú para la mía. Yo para tu gente, tú para la mía. Tú para la mía. Yo para tu gente. Keep it going. Podemos hablar juntos. Podemos cantar juntos. Podemos pelear juntos. Siempre juntos. Siempre, siempre juntos. Oh, 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 oh. Yo para tu gente, tú para la mía. Yo para tu gente, tú para la mía. Yo para tu gente, tú para la mía. Yo para tu gente. We're living through some pretty horrible times where people's humanity is really not recognized, and we'd like to sing this song for you that speaks of all relations. And my granddaughter, Asiyah Ayubbi, will be singing a Muslim song as part of this. And my son, Imam Kamau Ayubbi, will be leading us in a hadra that we will all participate in. To all relations, Mother Earth and Father Sky, to all relations, every nation, every tribe, every family, every stranger, every friend and every foe, every form and every creature, to all relations. Mitakuye oyasin, mitakuye oyasin, mitakuye oyasin, to all relations of the Lakota Nation, all relations. From the borders of the madness, from the edges of our fear, from the canyons of our sadness, from the well of our tears, to the womb of our beginning, to the place of our return, to the circle of oneness, where the fire burns. Takuye oyasin,
Good evening, everyone. I'm Rosalind Sina, the Chief Communications Officer for the Library of Congress, and we're so happy to join all of you here tonight. We feel honored to be with you, Nobuko. I feel like after watching the film twice, these are the stories that America needs to be preserving and collecting and for the whole nation to see. So we're very excited to see this on PBS. What do you think of it and the reception that it's getting?
Wow. Well, you know, when you get to be my age, you start looking at that moment when your life is going to flash before your eyes, but you never think you're going to do it with hundreds of people at the same time. But I also realized that my story is sort of a composite of many stories. It's a story of, you know, people who went to camp. It's a story of people who wanted to be an artist and had to face discrimination in show business. It's a story of the struggle, the Black struggle. It's a story of single mothers who had to raise their children, etc. And of course the Asian American movement. So and so many of you, my comrades out there, just want to acknowledge that, you know, that we started together and we're still here. And I'm so grateful to be with you tonight. And also grateful these guys. They're the next generation. They did an amazing job. It was hard to fit 84 years into 54 minutes, right?
So I do want to add, what made you think of doing a film?
You know, I've actually had the privilege of, like many people in the audience, I've known Nobuko my whole life. Most people know me as, well, I'm glad there was, you know, other kids in the audience because that used to be me. As Kamau could relate also. But so, you know, I grew up knowing Nobuko. Nobuko's, you know, a huge leader in the community. You know, the Obon song, the scene, you know, when that song was created, when Nobuko wrote that song with Reverend Moss and Kinada, I was 4 years old. So I literally grew up, you know, knowing the music, and so Nobuko's always been a hero of mine. But I think, you know, I think there's this sweet spot when you're old enough to realize the wisdom of the generation before you, and before that generation is still there to share that with you. I think for most of my childhood, I took it for granted, and you know, it was really when I started making a film on Chris Ijima here, and you know, came to New York. You know, the Koshiyama family, the Ijima family, but really, you know, I started to get to know the New York activist community, and that really resonated with, you know, how important the generation before was. But you know, I think someone like Nobuko, who's my auntie, I probably took her for granted as well. And it wasn't until now that I have kids, and now that realizing how valuable that is to try to document it, and not only just for myself and my own family and community, but try to spread that inspiration and wisdom as far as we can.
For you, like the importance of visibility and of keeping these stories preserved and alive and retold. Why is it important to tell more Asian American stories?
Yeah, can you all hear me? Thank you for the question. Yeah, I came into this story different from Tad. My parents were refugees of the war that Nobuko and many of you protested the Vietnam War, the wars in Southeast Asia. And just coming from a refugee family, I think they're kind of knowing your history is it's such a privilege. Like, my knowledge of my own family history only goes as far back as my parents, and because of the language barrier, even then it's very limited. And so to be able to tell a story of Asian American activism and stories like Nobuko's is a difficult one, not only because things get kind of lost in memory, like as Nobuko said, that if they didn't record the album, many things would be lost in history. And I think a lot of us take for granted that there are people who kind of hold knowledge and maybe like quote unquote everyone knows, but not everyone knows, and I think that's the importance of making films and making other artistic works that kind of preserve the history. It's not so much to kind of just honor it, but it's for us to sort of reflect about how it's relevant to us in the current moment. And I think the wisdom is like something, it takes work to preserve stories, and you know, Nobuko has been doing it for so long, and this is maybe our contribution in a different format of that.
Nobuko, you alluded to it, that your life is the American story. You've seen the good, the bad, and sadly the ugly side of what this nation provides, but you also used what this country provides, which is democracy, to give your voice out there. At a time when the nation is very well divided, and as you mentioned earlier, in a very horrible spot. How do you bring your performance and your activism together with this new voice of what's happening in 2024?
Well, I think the arts is a place that you can deal with complexity and layers. It's and in a way where people are open to hear, whereas maybe in a political speech or in organizing, sometimes people know about how you're coming at them, but in the arts it's much more subtle, and sometimes it takes a long time to organize and get trust in a community, but sometimes you can do that in 3 minutes of a song. And that's what Chris and I learned, and that's what we've been trying to utilize in all these years in different ways.
For you, what's your advice for young filmmakers out there on selecting projects or just whatever topics they want to do? What advice do you want to give them how to make an impact with a film?
I mean, for me personally, I feel like making films similar to the song, making films for ourselves, making films for community. I think my dad, who's my mentor, Robert Nakamura, always taught me, and I carry on that tradition, is we're making films for ourselves, not necessarily for representation's sake, not necessarily to explain ourselves to other people. While that does happen in the process, the higher priority is to, like Nobuko said, look in the mirror and be comfortable and actually love and be okay with how we are. And I think just the history of people of color, media, Hollywood, we have terrible representations of ourselves. And so I think by making films for ourselves, that's what I've done. And I think, again, like I mentioned, it's only because of that the community has really kept me sustain a career for myself, not only with stories, but people coming out. So I just wanted to thank everyone for coming out again. I think that's one of the things that with filmmaking, media is consumed so differently now. People are just kind of watching on their phones or watching on their laptops. So I think to actually physically be together in a theater, that's actually something that I see myself as, maybe if anything, I could bring people together and inspire them, because really the real work, the real change is on the ground. It's the people that are organizing, people that are protesting, creating petitions. And as an artist, I just wanted to hopefully create a space to support that and inspire that. And I think for younger filmmakers, at least for myself, following that instinct, that calling has enabled to create a career for myself.
Also, I think the arts have the ability to heal, because a lot of harm was created to us by self-hatred. And by doing the work that your father started to do and that we were doing, loving ourselves was like a liberating and revolutionary act, just to love ourselves, just to have joy about ourselves. That was it is a revolutionary act and a healing act.
And for you, what would you tell other Asian Americans, especially the younger ones, of how to empower them to tell their stories?
I mean, so much of what Tad says, I resonate with. It's you know, when we look into history with a capital H, maybe sometimes we don't quite see ourselves in it, and it's easy to want to feel like you want to sit at the table or whatever. But it really is in looking at the details and really maybe making your own table, right? As Nobuko and Chris sang in Freeland, you know, we don't want a piece of your pie, we're gonna make our own pie, right? And I think so much of that, for a younger me, I would have loved to know that it's not that you have to fit your story into a mold that already exists, but it's that if you really look at who's in your community, who's doing the work, like people like Nobuko, right? There are many ways that her story could have been told, but if we really pay attention to what she's saying and what she's been doing, can we create a new kind of structure for that? And I know that's maybe anxiety-ridden for young people to think of making your own new structure, but we have a lot to draw from in the past too, generationally.
Yeah, and I think to add on to that, you know, I think that's when we decided, you know, why now to make this film. You know, I think 2020, post 2020, I think there was a lot of discussion about Black and Asian solidarity, and in a great way. You know, I think this younger generation was really calling out anti-Blackness and really calling for solidarity amongst communities of color, specifically with the Black community. And I think for me, it's well, we've actually been doing. There's people like Nobuko who've been doing that for years, and I think that's one. It's a reminder, but also two, that's just also empowering that it's a legacy that we continue, and it's more of a responsibility that we need to continue versus something that maybe some people feel like has never happened before. So I think that was a big reason for me why to do a film on Nobuko is not only her amazing career as an artist, but really her mission in terms of building coalitions, building solidarity amongst other communities of color with Asian American community.
I just want to say that, you know, Yuri was a huge example, just her life, Yuri Kochiyama's life, how she chose after camp to live in Harlem. And when we saw that, you know, it was like, oh, this, you know, this is life. So, you know, for me, it's not just solidarity, it's life. And I just want to say that this is my family in the front row here. And we, you know, it's a reason why I fight for this, but if somebody wants to, I wrote a song, Black Lives Matter, and somebody said, and I said, she's my sister, she's my mother, she's my friend, she's my other, he's my lover, he's my, and they said I didn't have a right to say that. And I said, excuse me? If I claim George Floyd as my son, I would say that's a good thing. Didn't matter what color I was. That's like claiming that that is solidarity. And so we all can do that, and the Bandung project is doing that. Many artists are doing that right now on a daily basis, you know, creating relationships, not just solidarity, long-term relationships, working relationships to show that we grew up with the same racism. You know, we grew up in the same system. We know how to deal with this. So, and we learn from each other. I learned from being part of the Black community.
I could chat with everyone all night, so I'm going to pose the last question. Nobuko, you've created such an enduring community and a wonderful legacy. What's next for you?
I'm looking at you. I mean, when I say, and we walked, feeling the ground we someday own, I was thinking about the future and looking, okay, how many artists have grown out of the movement? How many books have been written? How many films have been? How long has this series of films festival been going? We're rolling. We're rolling, and there's no stopping us. There's no matter who's the president or whatever. We're going to continue on, And because you're not going to stop. And so you're my next project.
We can't wait until the rest of the country gets to see this film and hear your story. So thank you all. Thank you to the Asian Society.
Thank you for joining me for this edition of Backstage Pass with Lia Chang. Until next time.